All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm here with Pat, my husband, fellow realtor. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Very good.
A lot of people get a kick out of that.
Yeah, really. I haven't seen you in like 2 minutes.
I know. So, yeah, we're doing well, right?
Yes, we are.
We have with us today Matthew Lyons and Gary Lyons, co-owners of Disaster Blaster. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Thanks for being here with us. You're no stranger to our program. We're looking forward to some new material that we're going to cover today. So thanks for being here with us. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where we talk real estate. We have a full-time real estate office with many experienced realtors. We've been listing, selling, and appraising real estate for 50 years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you're at jruddy.com, click on, across the top of the page, there's a webcam tab. And we have a webcam up on the roof, and we get thousands of hits a month. And we're actually featured on Weather Nation now, too. So they go and look at our webcam. So we're big. We're big. Huge.
Hit the big time.
Yeah, we hit the big time.
View our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archive radio shows by going to jruddy.com, jruddy.com. Also offering our radio shows on podcasts. There's a long list of them. Chances are we're at your favorite, wherever you listen to your podcast, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes.
And what is it listed under?
The Real Estate Roundtable with Jackie Ruddy.
Okay.
Your sister listens to them.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, and I could see how many downloads, and there's some traffic, so that's good. It's taken off. Also, remember to check us out on social media. Chances are we're wherever you are. Okay, Matthew Lyons, Gary Lyons, co-owners of Disaster Blaster. Would you like to tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you go, please?
Sure. Disaster Blaster is a mitigation and restoration business. So we do everything from water damage mitigation and mold remediation to asbestos abatement, radon mitigation, basement waterproofing, meth lab remediation. Pretty much anything you run into, we can pretty much take care of for you. And we do service all of northeastern PA.
Nice. So you're a full-service restoration company, and you started off with fire damage, water damage, that sort of thing, and then you grew. One of the things that you're doing, and one of the reasons you're here today, is you are doing infectious disease cleanup service.
Yes.
Can you tell me, do you do residential and commercial?
We do commercial and residential services. It's a service we've offered for quite some time, but it was not a primary service that we were providing. Unfortunately, with the coronavirus pandemic and things, people have a greater need for the service. Essentially, whether it's a residential response for a known instance where someone was sick, where we have to kind of disinfect a property, or a commercial property where we're making sure that a store can stay open or a business is properly disinfected and cleaned, we can take care of all of that.
Are there a lot of companies that offer this service these days?
There are a few. A lot of them have started offering the service. We're a little bit unique in that we've offered it for a while.
So how could someone tell if a company's experienced in infectious disease disinfection?
Well, like anything, you're going to want to look for a company that markets that service. It's not something that they also do. It's something that's listed on their social media. It's listed on their website. It's listed on maybe their business cards or their marketing materials. It's a service that they've committed to provide, not something that they're providing now just to kind of stay busy.
So be a little bit suspicious of Joe Smith now offering
gutter cleaning and infectious disease control.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of you really do want to, and you're not really exaggerating too much, because there's a lot of people that kind of got into that really didn't have the background in order to be safe with it. I mean, when we go in and we do an infectious disease disinfection project, our crew is dressed in head to toe in Tyvek suits and respirators, and we're taking precautions and making sure that our crew is safe. And a company that doesn't have the background or the the focus on safety that we have may not even realize that their staff could be in danger or that these steps are available that they could take. So this is not something where somebody would come in with just a mask or a shield on. They have to be covered head to toe. Yeah, because you don't really know when you're working in that environment and you're stirring things up. You don't know what you could be exposing yourself to. So I mean, it's if as far as a full-blown disinfection project, you want to make sure that you're taking those precautions and you're protecting yourself.
Okay, so I've seen trucks in parking lots of facilities. I won't mention where, but I've seen them. And then, of course, it's not open. The business has been, closed, and it's usually like for a day or two. And so I've taken that to mean that they're disinfecting the premises. And so, what can one expect when you come in? What exactly do you do, and what do you use?
Okay, so we use products that are designed to kill the coronavirus and as well as a number of other things, of course. And we look at it from the position of an entire property disinfection. So we're spraying a fogging agent that will kill anything that may be still in the air.
Okay.
We're cleaning and disinfecting any horizontal surfaces or areas that people are touching a lot. Anything of that nature. There's a lot of stuff that people don't really think about. I mean, light switches, doorknobs, keypads if you're a business, things like that are touched constantly throughout the day and should be cleaned as a standard daily disinfection at this point, but we would come through as more of a specialized service.
So you're sanitizing and removing whatever germs or viruses left on surfaces.
Yeah, the goal is to kill things. So when you have a potential disease that you're trying to address, you want to make sure that anywhere where that may be lingering or hiding, that you're kind of addressing that.
Okay. So how long does this take?
It depends on the property. Generally, a disinfection is going to take a few hours to maybe a day, depending on the size of the property and what all needs to be disinfected.
So how long would it be from that point that you leave to the time somebody can come back in?
Generally, what we do as part of our process is we begin the disinfection by fogging. So by the time we're done cleaning, the property is generally safe for people to come back in.
Okay. So there's a lot of information out there, and no matter where you go, what source you read, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm very suspicious, and I hesitate to believe anything anymore. And so a lot of the material I've been reading of late has focused on sunlight is the best.
Sunlight kills the virus. Sunlight is good.
And UV light. So taking the UV light indoors, is this something that we should be doing? Also, air filters. We went out to a restaurant in Luzerne County, and it was an upscale restaurant. And I noticed positioned all throughout the dining room and directly behind our table was an air filter. Is this something that we need to be doing in our houses, in our offices, where we go?
Well, there's a couple of trains of thought with regards to that. I mean, obviously, what we know about coronavirus and specifically COVID-19 continues to change. Every couple of days when something comes out with regards to it, and what comes out tomorrow might be completely reversed 3 weeks from now. So
just think about it from the start. Masks don't work. Masks do work.
We're going to close 2 weeks just to flatten the curve. 50 weeks later.
Everything has changed rapidly.
Yep.
And you just get into doing something and then you're told, no, that's ineffective. And so, and then, obviously I think about this too. We're using our bleach and our antibacterial soaps, and we're doing this and we're doing that, and we're wearing gloves and we're wearing masks. How much in the long run will we learn down the road, of course, after the fact, that maybe we shouldn't have been doing all of those things because we're actually hurting ourselves?
And that's certainly a legitimate concern. I mean, one of the things that I always go back to is how long does COVID-19 live on surfaces? Seems like every month they're coming out with a different statistic on that. At one point over the summer, they were saying that there was an instance where they were seeing that it was surviving for 17 days on a cruise ship that had sat. Well, that's a long time. Now they're saying that, maybe 3 to 4 or 5 days maybe is more accurate and reasonable, which would be more in line with other things. So in, 6 months, a year's time, the picture could be completely different than it is now.
And the experts, in the end, really don't know. And I'm thinking that they're doing their best that they can with the information that they have, but we're all very confused. So remember in the beginning, if you had your groceries delivered or if you received Amazon packages, which, a lot of people did when they were on lockdown, or if you received your mail, we were told to wipe them down, everything with Clorox, right?
Mm-hmm. Those wipes that you couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Use the wipes. Use the wipes that you can't get.
Well, maybe we did it for a day or two.
Yeah, we said this is ridiculous.
This is just ridiculous.
This is
Yeah, so we're not doing that. But there are people that do, and I'm not,
Sure.
And that's up to them. But, okay, so you described what the disinfection process is like, and what can we do daily to ensure that we're keeping our spaces safe, residential and work office space?
So obviously, you have to do what you feel comfortable with and what you think is important. Because it's something that everyone has to kind of decide on themselves. Whether it's residential or commercial, what I would focus especially on are surfaces that are touched all the time. Early on in the pandemic, we put together a graphic of different things that people touch a lot. Their laptops, their phones, light switches, doorknobs, keypads if you're a store, countertops, all of these things, just kind of think through the process, and especially as a business, your customer flow. Like, what are people touching? Where are they putting things? What are they moving around? And those sorts of things should be kind of on your list to try to disinfect as often as you possibly can. Some of the stuff too with regards to businesses is, if you're trying to disinfect your counter space when your checkout area and things, maybe it's a good idea to limit your impulse purchase items there, just to kind of make your life a little bit easier so you can clean things quicker and easier. It's just kind of thinking through the process a little bit. I know we're coming into winter here, northeastern PA. We're not going to have sun for a little while, but when you have a sunny day, maybe you have an opportunity to kind of have the cart return. The cart's left outside for a little bit so that they can get some sunlight and disinfect them a little bit to take some of the work off of you, wiping things down and that sort of thing.
Well, pre-COVID, I would, every time I went to the grocery store, I would wipe down. I was one of those. I would wipe down the cart with usually Clorox that I kept in my purse because it's usually the dispenser at Price Chopper would be empty. And so I would make it a point to wipe down that, and I would never touch a door handle. Well, now forget about it, So I have this little thing that I keep on my keychain. It's like a brass type metal hook. I open doors with it. I open mailboxes with it. And it even has a pointer on it so that when you're checking out somewhere, you don't have to touch that keypad. Because I noticed at the grocery store, they're very, very thorough with wiping down the belt where you're checking out. But they're not touching that keypad that everybody uses. So I have a credit card with the chip, so I'm able to insert it, but you still have to press buttons to get to the next step, which I don't like to do. Or you have to use one of those filthy pens that they have next.
I like to call them booger pens.
Oh, and I try to resist at all costs touching that stuff because this is the world we live in, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, too, COVID or not, a lot of these surfaces, like you're mentioning, are kind of disease vectors normally, so a lot hasn't really changed all that much. It's just people are much more focused on it, at this point in time.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's ever going to return to where it was pre-COVID, but hopefully,
Well, hopefully. We certainly hope so.
it's nice to have hope, right? So with us today, Matthew Lyons, Gary Lyons, co-owners of Disaster Blaster. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
They can contact our offices at 570-963-1123 or visit our website at www.disasterblaster.com. They can also check out social media. We're pretty much everywhere as well.
I know that. And so today we're talking about coronavirus disinfection. However, you provide a long list of services, if you wouldn't mind mentioning those again.
Sure. So pretty much if someone has an issue, we have a solution. So water damage mitigation, mold remediation, infectious disease disinfection, fire and smoke cleanup, meth lab remediation.
Meth lab. I love that one, meth lab. You just kind of glance over it.
Yeah.
I need my meth lab cleaned in.
Yeah.
Can you help me out?
It's unfortunately a sign of the times.
Yes.
It's just kind of how things are going. So we've adapted with that. And when we see a need for a service, we certainly develop it and we add it.
And hoarding.
Hoarding cleanup we do. Biohazard we do.
Asbestos
abatement we do, radon mitigation. I appreciate all of the reminders because the list is so long. But yeah, I mean, pretty much if someone runs, we even do fentanyl remediation, which is a very specialized service. So I mean, we can pretty much do anything that people
and we're going to talk about that at some point in our show. So, all right, thank you, Matt. Mm-hmm. Best cities for first-time homebuyers: Henderson, Nevada; Boise, Idaho; Thornton, Colorado; Chesapeake, Virginia; Gilbert, Arizona; Tampa, Florida; Las Vegas, Nevada; North Las Vegas, Nevada; Peoria, Arizona; and Lincoln, Nebraska. Do you want to know what the worst cities for first-time homebuyers are?
Yes, I do.
All right. Glad you asked. Berkeley, California; San Francisco, California; Santa Barbara, California; Detroit, Michigan; New York, New York; Oakland, California; Los Angeles, California; Daly City, California; Miami Beach, Florida; and San Mateo, California. A lot of California.
Wow, that's like nine out
So
of
do
10 are
not
controlled
go
by
to
a certain body. That are not.
Oh, well, they're fleeing. They're going to Texas. What happens in Texas remains to be seen, right?
I don't know. I'd like to go to Texas. I was there once. It was beautiful.
Yes, we'd like to go back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back.
The talented team of professionals at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. They're not just real estate agents. They're agents of change. They're on a never-ending quest for the best for you and your family. They can help you find precisely what you want at this time in your life. A computer, a website, an app, and a listing by itself can't do that. They're obsessed with better and deliver extraordinary, embracing the what if, not just the what's been done before, with a level of accountability and honesty not found anywhere else in the real estate industry. Don't settle for average, okay, or just all right. This change in your life is monumental, and there's only one Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate that will help you rock that change. Call 570-344-6724 and visit jruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. Each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated.
We're back with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with my husband, fellow realtor, Pat Savani.
And we're back.
We're back with Gary Lyons and Matthew Lyons of Disaster Blaster, co-owners. We talked about the coronavirus cleanup and disinfecting service that you provide, residential and commercial properties. Okay. You also do a lot of other cleanups. Mm-hmm. We talked about that before we went to break. One of the ones that we didn't talk about is a puffback. What is a puffback, and why would somebody need to be cleaned up after a puffback?
Okay, so a puffback is basically when your furnace misfires or it otherwise burns dirty. So you have smoke that then gets sent through the HVAC system and contaminates your whole house. So, I mean, it'll cover walls and ceilings and all of the contents. And
what
the floors.
type of fuel usually causes this in a furnace?
Oil.
Oil. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when this happens, it goes everywhere. all your curtains, your drapes, your
Furniture, everything.
Yep.
your rugs, your walls.
Yep.
So what is it? Oil droplets?
It's like a coating, like it looks
Film.
like a fine dust, but it's
like
very
a white
greasy
cloud
and
that
oily.
comes through the house, right? It's like a cloud.
Yeah, it's like a cloud that just kind of fills up the
An
entire
oily
house.
cloud. My friend had it at his house, and he's got a big, beautiful house. And it was like $70,000 in damage. I mean, because the furniture and the walls and the ceilings and the floors, everything had to be done. It was really.
So what do you do?
It was a disaster.
That's why you're disaster blasters.
Yeah.
So throw everything out, start over. You can clean this?
Most things can be cleaned. I mean, you're going to have certain things that, depending on how dirty the furnace misfired or how greasy the residue is, certain things might stain. Sometimes upholstery and things like that. But most cases, things can be cleaned. You're going to have to clean the ceiling and the walls and seal in any of the soot residue in order to paint anyway. One of the biggest mistakes we see is people that, have a puff back and they think, well, I'll just paint over it. Well, it doesn't really work that way. You kind of just smear it around and it kind of bleeds through the paint a little bit and it's kind of a mess. So you have to make sure that it's cleaned properly first.
So how do you clean it?
Depending on the type of soot, we can use what is called a dry chem sponge, which uses static electricity to essentially lift the soot from the ceiling and the walls, or we can wet clean. So with really, really greasy soot that we go in knowing that we're going to have to paint, generally that'll be wet cleaned because we're basically just kind of sealing it in for painting.
Okay, and so that sounds labor intensive.
It is very involved. It takes a lot of time to kind of go through a house. I mean, you kind of think about your house that you have now. You look at everything around you. You think, how long would it take me to clean everything? It does take a while to get through and do that. But we generally work from the top down, other than focusing on areas that need to be cleaned, generally like maybe the kitchen or something so the property is usable. But we work from the top down and we just kind of get everything taken care of.
And insurance covers this all?
Most insurance policies will cover that, yes.
Okay, because like that $70,000.
Oh my God. No, because it destroyed. I mean, think about everything it gets into. You got a bed, you have a big, beautiful bed and all your linen. It got into the mattress. It got into the covers, your carpeting, the headboard.
Your clothes.
The clothes that were in the closet.
Can you just wash those? Will that be?
So they're depending on the material that the garment is made out of. Sometimes they have to be cleaned specially. Particularly dry clean items can be a little bit problematic when you come into contact with soot. So there's a lot of dry cleaners that won't be equipped to handle that.
I can't imagine silk doing well under the circumstances.
Yeah, it takes some special processes to get certain things cleaned. But a dry cleaner that specializes in that, which is, we work with companies that do, will be able to take those things and get most things clean.
And restore it.
Yeah. And one other thing a lot of people don't really think about, too, is all of your electronics and things. When you have a puff back and you have, your computer running, it's pulling all of that soot through the unit, through the fan. So
is that destroyed?
That generally what we'll do is we'll check out those units to make sure that they're still functional. We'll kind of blow them out and try to clean them out as best we can. But if there's residue in there, then at that point we would generally make the recommendation that the insurance company replace it and then work on migrating any of your data over and everything.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. That sounds like a ton of work.
It's involved. It takes some time, but we help everybody through the process.
And it's a thing. It happens.
That's why you have to have maintenance on you.
Yes. What would prevent
Maintenance.
this?
Yes. What would prevent this, Gary?
It's recommended that you have your furnace checked annually by a licensed HAVC person. There's certain adjustments that usually need to be done that will prevent this, and they'll test it and check to make sure that it's functioned properly. It's a general good idea. I know I do it. The other thing I want to take a minute to mention is that when you're cleaning a oil residue from a puffback, you typically will not just use water. Even in the dry cleaners, when something washable goes to the dry cleaners, they're going to mix that with a solution of a solvent to break up the oil. Otherwise, they're just going to set that stain into your clothing and your sheets and stuff like that instead of cleaning them.
So call the professionals and use the professionals. This is not something that somebody can take into their own hands.
Call the professionals.
Okay. How about fentanyl? You have mentioned that in the first half of the show. You do meth lab cleanups and fentanyl cleanups. What is fentanyl, and why would a property need to be cleaned up?
So fentanyl is a synthetic drug that has made a lot of news headlines over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it's extremely powerful. It's an extremely strong drug, and it's often mixed with different things. So because of just how potent fentanyl is, you can only a couple of granules of it could be enough to kill somebody. So it's become an issue in our industry because if you have somebody, the local police departments deal with this a lot. Actually, if you have somebody that is in one of your squad cars or a holding cell or something, and a bag of powder falls out of their pocket or something, or you've now got to assume that that's hazardous, and if it tests as fentanyl, you've got to now deal with that properly. And it works the same way with apartment units and things like that as well. I mean, if you have somebody that moved out and you're going through and you're finding white powder somewhere, it's best to assume that could potentially be hazardous and deal with it properly.
Fentanyl can even be absorbed through the skin, right? If I touch it?
Yes, it can. And if it gets wet, it becomes a liquid, and that becomes more easily absorbable.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of different things a white powder can be.
Yes.
Right? So, unless you test it, you don't know, but you want to be cautious if you come across it. But, how many people are aware that their property is being occupied by somebody that's abusing fentanyl?
And see, that's one of the bigger things. I mean, even if you're renting a property out, you're assuming that your tenants aren't
drug addicts.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. So when they do move out, or if they have an overdose or something, which we've unfortunately dealt with a number of times here in our industry, you have to kind of go in with an open mind about what you might be coming across. And when you find a white powder, I mean, it could be sugar, or it could be
baby powder.
Or it could be something more hazardous and something that you should be concerned about. So, I mean, you can have testing done that will tell you what it is, of course. But and a lot of the police departments have those contacts that they can make those recommendations, because if you do find something like that, generally you're involving them anyway. We've found. But if it does come back as fentanyl, then you would have to have the property remediated by a professional.
Okay. Would you come back next week so that we can talk more about that and other topics, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Matthew Lyons, Gary Lyons, Disaster Blaster. How does someone get in touch with you?
They can visit our website at www.disasterblaster.com or call our offices at 570-963-1123.
And you're all over Facebook and social media.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Remember to tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. to listen to more of the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. Have a great week.